morning, class. And as you all know, I had sent you the explanations earlier of the chapter Urban Livelihood. Did you all go through it? If not, if by any chance you have not, so listen to this explanation of the entire chapter, which I'm going to tell you. Now, the chapter begins with a person with a small little child who visits his uncle. Now, his uncle works as a branch manager and he takes him, the uncle takes the child for a tour of the city. Early in the morning, he sees various scenes, the newspaper vendors, the people surrounding him, uh, the roads full of people gossiping around, the florist shop, then small vegetable vendors in the corners, all these big and small barber shops, tea stalls, etc. He sees, and the street looks very busy to him. So he takes up a rickshaw, and both the uncle and the child they move on a rickshaw. And uncle very conveniently started talking to the rickshaw puller. Now, once he started talking to the rickshaw puller, he came to know about his name. His name was Rampreet, and he belonged to a village in northern Bihar. Now, this rickshaw puller had a large family, and they were all staying in a village only. Only he had come out for work because there was less money in the village. He had a big family with three children, the wife, and his parents. So he used to send annually, monthly, a little amount to the village and uh, give them some amount so that they could live their life peacefully there. So apart from this, we know that after he was a migrant worker, that means he had migrated from village to the city so that he could earn his living. Now, the money he used to get was very less, in that he has to pay the rent of the rickshaw also, because the rickshaw does not belong to him. Then we come to know in general about the poor condition of the rickshaw pullers, vendors, and hawkers, etc., who sell things on the street. So they tell us that the city is full of these street vendors and hawkers, and they have no permanent jobs. They sell all the variety of things on the pavement only. They don't have fixed shops also, and they don't have any living place. Their shops are temporary structures, and they could easily dismantle it. They just spread a plastic sheet or a bench, and in those sheets, they spread out their items and things they want to sell off. Then earlier, it was taken as a nuisance because spreading things on a road might disrupt the passage and the movement of the vehicles and the uh, the walking people. So, but now government realized that yes, these people are earning their livings, and it's a very important means of livelihood, and it should be granted to them. So finally, they have been allotted days in which they can sell their items. So the street vendors and hawkers, they live a very poor life and in a very meager salary. With they are self-employed. Self-employed means they take up all the work on their own. They are the bosses of their jobs. They are not working under anyone. So these laborers, these workers, all these people, they live in jhuggi jhopadis or the slum areas once they have migrated from the village, and their wives, etc. They also do the domestic work of the houses nearby, maybe cleaning, mopping, dusting, etc. All this work is taken by the wives so that they can help their families. Then the boy also took a visit to a marketplace where his uncle took him to the marketplace where there were jewelry shops, where there were electronic items being sold, the TV sets were there. The uncle wanted to buy a TV set and also the shirts and jeans for his children. He also presented a t-shirt to this young boy who was along with the uncle. Then they are telling you that these shops and showrooms in marketplaces, they are permanent established. That means they are there forever, and it is the work of the municipal corporation to issue them the license. Each shop has a shop number and a license given by municipal corporation, and these shops basically are run by businessmen, and they keep the persons under them. They employ the salespersons, the supervisors, the helpers, and they give them a fixed salary. Now, some offices are also there, some bank ATMs are also there in the marketplace. Then there are some clinics, etc., also there. So, actually, market is a place where you get everything in all range and variety. Then we talk of the factory area, the third point. First, we talked about the hawkers and the street vendors. Then we talked of the marketplace, which is a permanent settlement and is owned by the better people, and especially better than the street hawkers and vendors. Then now we talk of the factory area, which is generally outside the city area, so that the pollution could be avoided. And there, in a factory, the things are produced in a bulk, in a huge amount. Okay, and here, when the child and the uncle visit the factory area, they see the number of daily wage workers and laborers. They assemble near a place called labor chalk. Now, labor chalk is a place where all the variety of laborers used to gather there for any big and small work, for laying down pipelines, for whitewashing the houses. And people come and they choose the laborer of their choice for the work they have at home, and they take them home for those many days. They work on daily wages. Daily wages means every day what they work, they are given the money for that. Then we talk of the factory which they had visited. It was a garment factory. Uncle's friend was working there, and the uncle's friend, Mr. Singh, took them for a tour of the factory where the child also saw that there were different sections for doing all these work. There were 400 workers who were working. Out of those 400, 300 were not permanent. They were just hired at the time when they were needed, and after that, they were released from the work. Whereas there were 100 workers who were permanent, who used to get a fixed salary every month. There were different sections in their working. Like there was a big hall where the cutting of the cloth used to take place. Then there was another section where buttons and embroidery was done. Then there was a different section for ironing the clothes. So it was not one person doing all the work from cutting the cloth to stitching to decorating and to ironing. There were different sections. The section which was cutting was not doing the sewing part. Sewing part was done by the other section. The one who was doing the sewing part was not sticking up the buttons and embroidery work. That was done by the third section. The third section, who was doing the buttoning and all, was not doing the ironing. So there were different sections and the work divided according to the work which was at hand, and they worked in different sections for this factory work, and then the cloth was produced as a whole. The garments were made ready, and these garments which were made ready were also exported to different countries, not just within India but also outside the country. And the main countries which were taking were the USA, Russia, UK, Germany, etc. Then they talk of EPF, Employees Provident Fund. Now, that was the fixed amount which the permanent workers get. Why? Because they work permanently, so they get a provident fund. That means when they will retire from the work after the age of 60, they will get this amount as a gift from the employer, from the person who has kept them. Okay. Then we talked of the new heading, the office area. Now, this is explanation 4, which we will take up now. Is the earlier summary clear to each one of you? I have summarized the whole lesson. Okay, so now we come on to the office area. It was 5 p.m. by the time we left the factory area. My uncle's brother in law works as a marketing manager in a well known company which manufactures fans. we decided to call on him also. We entered his air conditioned cabin. As we sat down, a peon served us cold drinks. Mr. Sohan Mishra, uncle's brother in law, is an MBA from a reputed institute. He draws a handsome salary. He is a permanent worker drawing a regular salary along with other benefits. These include employees' provident fund, gratuity, medical benefits, and leave benefits. Apart from Sundays and national holidays, he gets 27 days annual leave. He can expect his job to continue for many years. He also gets an annual increment based on his performance. He is also entitled to other incentives. So now they are telling you the life of a permanent worker. That means the one who is permanently employed. Like we teachers, we are employed permanently by our principal. So now the advantages of having a permanent job is firstly, your job is permanent. That means you're drawing a regular salary. Every month, a stipulated amount of money is given to you. Then there are various other benefits also in a permanent job, like the employees' provident fund, like the gratuity, like the medical benefits. If anyone is not well, they can take medical leave. Then apart from that, you get the Sundays as a non-working day and national holidays as not working days. Apart from these holidays, 27 other annual leaves can be taken. That means 27 other days you can take a leave from the job. And still, your money will not be deducted. You will get a salary fixed amount every month, and their annual increment is also there. That means every year a little proportion of your salary gets increased. Okay, and he has to work for a limited time, for maybe for 8 hours. There are fixed job hours in it, whereas all this is deprived to the common person who's working as a street vendor or who's working on daily wages. Okay, so they just talked about the office area, but every worker is not as fortunate as my uncle's relative. Nearly half of the workers are casual and temporary. They get a fixed monthly salary. They aren't entitled to other benefits. Whenever the management feels that the work is less or their performance isn't up to the mark, they are asked to leave the company. When we left the office area, it was 6:30 p.m. We were too exhausted to ride an overcrowded bus. My uncle hired a taxi. I had seen a different world. I lived in a small town and had never imagined that life in big cities is so fast. I had great fun and a great learning experience. So now this little boy, he had a lovely experience throughout, where he talks that in the office area also there are certain people who are not permanently employed, so even they work on daily wages and their job and salary is not fixed. If their work performance is not found good, they could be thrown out by the company managers. Now we come on to the last heading called call centers. Can you see my screen on sharing? Okay. Call centers are private offices which deal with problems and questions that consumers and customers have regarding goods purchased and services like banking, payment of bills, ticket booking, etc. There are two kinds of call centers, domestic and international. A domestic call center deals with domestic clients, whereas an international call center has international clients. Call centers are set up in large halls. Each worker is given a computer, a telephone set, and supervisors' stations. India has become a hot destination for multinational companies because they have to pay much lower wages here. For similar services, they need to pay much higher wages in European countries. So now they're telling you call centers, and you all must be knowing what call centers are. The people are hired here in these call centers and they are there to listen to any query or any problem which a customer has. Like supposing you have a bank, supposing your parents have ICICI account in their bank. Now, regularly, these call center people will call you, they will update you with the latest credit cards, debit card schemes, etc., various programs they are undertaking. They tell you and make you aware of all the things. Like supposing you bought a Samsung mobile. So these you have a call center for there where you can make a call and ask about any queries about the Samsung device that you're using or any other for that matter. So these call centers are basically for your aid and for your assistance. Now, people working here, they not only work for domestic but also for international calls. The companies which are managing from outside, like uh, uh, say the Samsung is an outside, is an international company. So these companies, etc., they have international based calls also. So these why India is turning out to be a great hub of these call centers, because India is technically advancing for achievements, and new horizons have been reached in the field of trade and commerce. So, with this, we end the chapter telling you about the call centers where people work in bulk. You can see the photograph, see the way they are working in a big hall. A section is given to them with a computer screen and a telephone. Okay, so now we come on to the question answers. I will just cut this call and sorry, I will just stop this recording here and